Hey everybody, John Morgan here with InvestorCom, coming at you from sunny Boca Raton, Florida, sheltering in place at my home like everybody else. First and foremost, I want to make sure and hope that all of you all are safe and well with your families, and that you aren't suffering from undue hardship, most importantly. And feel free to reach out to me if there's any way that I can help. I said, but the reason I'm coming to you today is I wanted to share with you an exercise that I did with my clients back during the 08-09 recession, which really helped them calm down, understand kind of how the markets operate, and to give them confidence to stay put and to continue to invest for the long haul. It also helped me tremendously because advisors also suffer from the fear of the unknown. And so I felt like this was a good time to share this exercise with you today. Back in 08-09, I felt that it was a very similar feeling that people are feeling today. It was that uncertainty of what was going to happen. How far was the market going to go down? Was investing in the market actually gambling? And is it the right place for me? And so it's really important that as advisors, we reach out to our clients and let them know that not only are we there for them during good times, but most importantly, we're there for them during difficult times like today. So the exercise I'm going to share with you today is something I came up with back in 08-09 to calm fears. And what I did is I talked to my clients first and foremost about how they're feeling, what's going on, do they need money, answer questions, all of those things obviously to start with. But then I told them that I wanted to take some time and go through an exercise with them that I think would help them kind of feel a little bit better about what's going on today. So what we initially talked about was the fact that back in 08, there was a lot of talk of the lost decade from that 10-year period. We went through September 11th. Then we went through the recession in 08 and 09, and there was talk constantly about the lost decade. And what I tried to talk to my clients about was while 10 years is a good amount of time to invest in the stock market, it's kind of a minimum amount of time. The reality is that most people invest for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, depending on when they get started and throughout retirement. And so what I wanted to do is show them what would have happened if they invested a certain amount of money, not during that 10-year period, but actually going back 10 years previous to that. So a 20-year period, and then only show them the results. So the first thing we did is we took a blank piece of paper. At the top of the paper, we wrote $100,000 invested 20 years ago, starting in the end of 2008, which would be 1/1/89, and going through the end of 2008. And then what we do is we just show them the results. So the first investment didn't grow at all, went to 100K. The second investment went to 265K. The third investment went to 330K. Fourth investment grew to 505K. And the final investment grew to 684K. So again, I would look at my clients and I would say, without knowing anything else, which of these investments would you choose? Almost every single one of them chose the big one. So we circle that. They chose it because obviously it did better than everything else. But then I would look at them and I would tell them, well, that's a great choice. The problem is there's a whole lot you need to know about that investment to make sure that you know that it's right for you. Okay? So let's go through these investments. The first one, again, 20 years ago at the end of 08, grew to 100,000. Didn't grow at all, right? So you didn't lose dollars, but you lost a ton of buying power. So that actually lost significant value over that 20-year period. And this investment is what we call the mattress money. So let's agree that that is not a good long-term strategy for your retirement needs. Okay, so again, grew to 100K, didn't lose value, but it lost a ton of buying power. But it does remind us that we need to make sure that we always keep a certain amount of money in cash reserves to protect against exactly what's going on today. You need to have 6 to 9 months of cash reserves that can get you through difficult emergency situations like we're seeing today. And that is where what we call the foundation of your overall plan. But again, it's not a good long-term strategy for retirement dollars. The next investment is if we got 5% simple interest, like a CD, and we invested it 20 years ago. It grew to $265,000, did pretty well. The things that you'd want to know about it is you slept great at night. You never had to worry. You didn't wake up in the middle of the night sweating, wondering if my money was there. You knew that at the end of the term, you were going to get your money back, reinvest it into another CD, and you never had to worry. You weren't questioning whether I was a good advisor and knew what I was doing. You weren't considering going off to your brother's, sister's, cousin's advisor because they had a better way, which is not true. But again, it didn't grow near as well as the one you chose. And so while it might play a small portion of your overall portfolio, it wouldn't play a large part. So then let's move on to the next investment. The next investment grew to $330,000. And this is actually investing in the bond world, the bond market. And this is actually Bond Fund of America, which I used back in those days. And it grew to $330,000, and which is pretty significant. Didn't do as well as the one you chose, but again, you slept pretty well at night. You weren't waking up with cold sweats. You weren't calling me wondering if I knew what I was doing. You weren't considering selling, and you weren't considering leaving me and going off to another advisor. So again, there's some positives, but it again didn't grow nearly as well as the one that you chose. So now let's go through these final two. The fourth one here is an actual investment in the S&P 500. So if you did take $100,000 20 years ago, invested it in the S&P 500 and let it sit, you'd have $505,000 today. You'd be pretty happy with that. The problem is it's not easy to get there. In fact, most of you will never get there unless you have a really great advisor that's holding your hands to get you there, because what happened is you had to go through a lot of this up and down, and boom, 2001 hit, September 11th, and 02, and that's an inflection point for you and my relationship together. Again, you're going to be wondering, do I know what I'm doing? Is the stock market just gambling? Should I take my money out? Should I go to my brother's, sister's, cousin's advisor that said he'd have a different way? The reality is that this is a very important time in your investing life, and why you've hired me is to help you get through these difficult times. So again, if you held on there, market went back up, slowly but surely got above where you were before, and then it started bouncing around again, and then boom, end of 2008, we see this great recession, right? We talk about the lost decade. Again, an inflection point of our relationship. Do I know what I'm doing? Is the stock market right for me? Is my cousin's sister's brother's cousin a better advisor than me? Again, he's not. But the bottom line is it's an inflection point for you and our relationship, and whether you're going to get to these higher values investing over the long haul. So again, it's not easy, and on your own, you'll never make it. This last investment is an investment in Growth Fund of America. Another great growth fund. We're hiring a professional money manager versus going directly into the index. But again, you had to go through the same difficulties. Market going up and down, boom, in 01. It didn't go down near as much as the S&P did, but it did go down. And so it is an inflection point where, again, maybe you're going to leave me. Or do I know what I'm doing? Should I go with somebody else? Same inflection point. Then the market came back up, bounced around a bunch again, and then boom, 08 again. And this time it did lose significant value. And so it is a major inflection point. Should I stay with you? Do you know what you're doing? Should I go to the brother, sister's, cousin's advisor? All of these things are always going to happen during these difficult times. And that's why you've hired me, is to make sure that we get through this and get on to a really strong, successful retirement. And that's all part of our plan. So, Mr. and Mrs. Client, now that you kind of understand what it took to actually get to this $684,000 over that 20-year period, do you believe that this is still the right investment for you? Most of my clients would say, I think so. With your help, I think I could get there. And, yeah, I think it is. Yeah, I think so. And then I would look at them and I would say, well, Mr. and Mrs. Investor, there's just one last thing I need to tell you. And it's actually the most important thing of all. What if I told you that just 1 year ago, that $684,000 was worth over $1.1 million? Would that change anything? And I would just be quiet and look at their reaction. Because before they knew that that's what happened, they were ecstatic with that $684,000 return. And so I would tell my clients that this is the reality of investing in the stock market. There's always going to be highs and lows and everything in between. But to get to these big numbers, you have to be able to deal with these downturns in the stock market, which are completely normal and natural. And in fact, you should try to take advantage of these downturns as much as you possibly can. But at the end of the day, it's not easy. And so again, I ask you, with that new information, do you feel that the stock market is still right for you? Because at the end of the day, you either have to get over it or get out of it. And that's the bottom line. As you can see, this illustration really hit home and resonated with my clients, but it also made me actually feel a whole lot better, because we're not immune from the fear that clients are feeling. And so this exercise was great. At the end of going through it with my clients, I would actually put down a little X here for them to sign it, because I told them at the time that while I can't guarantee returns or no loss of principal, I can't guarantee them anything, I could guarantee them one thing, that we would go through this again, and probably multiple times before they retired. And here we are 12 years later. It took for it to happen again, but it has happened again. And so the story continues, because that $684,000, you can tell your clients, grew to over $2.6 million if they stayed put like you told them to. And then you can show them that they were at 3.1 million a month ago. Again, the reality of investing in the stock market hasn't changed and will never change. And so that really can emphasize the point all over again and keep your clients invested. And in fact, encourage them to take advantage of these ups and downs by dollar cost averaging into the market. And so that's all I really wanted to do, is share with you kind of a exercise that I use with my clients back during that time frame that really help them feel better about what was going on, know that I was going to be there for them during these difficult times, and to encourage them to take advantage of them. So again, I appreciate you watching this video today. Until next time, I hope you and your families are safe and well, and we're going to sign off here. Have a great day.